Hello, my name is Angela Shum. As a registered nurse, a music therapist, fellows of the Association for Music and Imagery, I'm often asked about what technique I will use to serve my clients in Hong Kong. In this video, I want to introduce one particular technique called Focused Music Imagery, FMI. Hopefully, in the process of answering some of the questions you may have, you may want to experience some of the many benefits this method offers. Some of you may have heard about a technique called Guided Imagery and Music, GIM, or Music Imagery, MI. So what is FMI in the spectrum of GIM and MI methods? I will invite 3 special speakers to talk about it. First, Frances Goldberg, Director of the Therapeutics Arts Institute, GIM primary trainer, marriage and family therapist, and music therapist, who developed this technique FMI. Then Louise Dimiceli-Mitran, licensed clinical professional counselor, music psychotherapist, GIM primary trainer, and fellow of the Association for Music and Imagery. And Sherry Raley, clinical psychologist, GIM fellow and music therapist, GIM assistant trainer. Frank, what is focused music imagery and what inspired you to develop it?
Focused music imagery is an adaptation of a music psychotherapy called the Body Method of Guided Imagery and Music, or GIM for short. GIM uses Western classical music to evoke mental imagery in all of the senses. And the idea is that whatever is at the top of the hierarchy of the person on a spiritual, psychological, or emotional level will be represented in the images that are elicited by the music. It's a very effective way of working in psychotherapy because it taps into the person's creative imagination, the person's own inner wisdom. However, there are many people who can't use that because they don't have sufficient ego strength. And I wanted to find a way to safely work with music and imagery with these people who can't do GIM. I developed focused music imagery, which is much more focused. It uses non-classical music so that the music is very simple and not as demanding as in GIM. And it also is very focused. So it's a safe method for people with poor ego strength.
Mm-hmm. So can you describe focused music imagery experience?
Yes. In the therapy session, the client and the therapist discuss whatever it is they need to talk about or want to talk about in that session. And they come to a focus. They decide on a focus for the focused music imagery experience. So when they're ready to begin, the client sits comfortably in a chair. Sometimes they close their eyes, or sometimes they leave their eyes open. The therapist takes the client through a brief relaxation. The music is started, and the therapist speaks back to the client the focus that they decided on to begin with. And when that happens, then the client develops their own images of that focus. And then the client begins to draw or write whatever comes to them at that point in the session. And when the client is finished, then the therapist turns the music off, and then they discuss the material. In some ways, it's kind of like using a dream in therapy.
Mm-hmm. So what clients can use focused music imagery?
I believe that just about any person who goes into psychotherapy can use focused music imagery because it's very safe and contained, and yet it's very powerful because it taps into the person's own creative imagination and taps into the part of them that knows what they need for healing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Louise, what are the benefits of FMI and what types of clients benefit from it?
Well, there are so many benefits to focused music imagery. I'll just name a few. When you come to therapy to gain insight, here you gain the insight from your creative imagination. You know, other people can give you advice, but people find that there's a certain wisdom in solutions and answers that come from within them. And that's what this is. It's also using the transformational power of music. People love music, but many people don't realize that it can be used to create a very safe container for therapeutic work. And that's what focused music imagery offers. So it starts off that the therapist will agree with you about what you're going to focus on in the music on a certain day. So you have a choice and you're really heard by the therapist, and you get to make some decisions too. Also, there's a verbal aspect to the therapy, but the music really deepens it because it gives it a strong nonverbal aspect because those images come from your creative imagination. You can also use the images to move inside yourself to find the solution that works best for you. So the clients are usually adults or older adolescents. Basically, they're people who want to work creatively. But everyone has creativity, and it's just a way to tap into that to help you find your own solutions to what your challenges are, whatever they are. So it can be helpful for depression, for anxiety, certainly for relationship issues, whether that's with a family member or someone at work or even in a romantic relationship. And that helps you to figure out how you can respond to others that you're in relationship with and that are important to you in some way. It's also very helpful for life transitions, and as you're moving through life, things change. Sometimes it's hard to adjust to those. FMI can help with that. Certainly we all experience grief and loss at some times in our lives. It's whether there is a loss of a dear person or the loss of a job or something similar to that. FMI is great for stress reduction and to helping you learn ways to use your own images to help you to deal with your stress and your moods. Actually, anybody who comes to therapy can benefit from focused music imagery.
Sherry, how is FMI different from verbal therapy approaches such as CBT, DBT, EFT, and mindfulness?
It's a great question, Angela. The obvious part of the answer is that FMI uses specifically selected music to help facilitate an imagery process. And the reason we use imagery in the method is connected to how we develop as human beings. We come into the world capable of pure experience before we're able to understand the experience we're having or use words to describe the experience we're having. We have to learn how to put words and thoughts to what we are experiencing. But prior to learning the verbal part, we start associating images to our experiences. So images are one of the primary ways that we process things. And so the FMI approach really leans on that fact and helps people start processing whatever issues they're dealing with through images first, and then relying on the ability to verbalize and describe. So like cognitive behavioral therapy, FMI can help work with and change cognition's irrational beliefs, but it does it in a holistic way through working with images. It can help gain insight into emotion. It can help us understand emotion, but again, it does it in a holistic way through image. And as a psychologist, a lot of times I'm working with patients and I may be thinking of their work as a whole in a cognitive behavioral way or in an emotionally focused way, but I'm able to use FMI within those frames as a way to help them holistically address cognitions and emotions and behaviors. With respect to mindfulness, where I see the similarity is that FMI asks a person to stop, go inward, focus on an internal experience, but do so in a non-attached way. And to me, that is a form of a mindfulness practice. And so I think there's a lot of things that FMI holds that honors the strengths of the other approaches that you've mentioned without being those approaches.
Thank you very much. FMI is a safe, effective psychotherapy approach that allows for working creatively. It captures a natural emerging imagery of your own, assessing your inner wisdom to increase personal insights and enhance healing from within. With the focus on a particular emotional areas or issue agreed upon between you and your therapist, FMI can help you to explore and work through what is needed to face your challenges and difficulties in life. It can be used individually or in a group setting. One-to-one treatment sessions last about 1 hour. FMI is a self-care tool opening you up to experience possible transformation and changes. I hope that this video has given you more understanding of FMI. In the next video, case examples will be presented to illustrate how FMI will work and how some clients have benefited.